So it is January. Happy New Year to those of you I didn't see last Sunday. I know that a number of you were still celebrating apparently and weren't here in service, and that's all right. I know, however, a lot of you must have been watching online because we had a record number of online viewers last Sunday. In fact, we had 3 times what we normally have. We had 115 online viewers last Sunday. So I just want to know how many of you were among them. All right. Well, not that many of you. But thank you for watching online, and thank you for being here this morning. Because I know that your presence, and actually all of your presence, makes a difference in the experience we have here in this room. Your energy, your consciousness, your beingness, being here impacts all of us. So I say thank you for those watching online when you come here. And I know some of you in Bangkok and places like that can't get here. But if you're in town, come on into the service because that makes a difference in the experience we all have. So thank you for being here. January is the month that we get back to basics. I've been getting back to basics for about 19 years now, and it's always interesting to think, okay, how am I going to say the same thing again this year differently than I've said 19 previous times? Historically, we look at, as I already mentioned, those first 4 pre-chapter chapters that are in our textbook and take one each week. The chapters are called The Thing Itself, The Way It Works, What It Does, and How to Use It. And we take each one of those chapters and speak about it during the course of a week. Oh, I just can't do that anymore. Sorry, I've done that too many times. So this is how we're going to do it this month. We are going to explore those chapters, but not one after the other. We're just going to mix them up as to the concepts and the amazing concepts and the interesting terminology that shows up in those chapters, that shows up in our Science of Mind teachings. And sometimes it feels like when you're reading through that textbook that it's almost like a different language. You're having to learn, right? Those of you, what the heck does that mean? And so one thing I want us to do this month is to really get a handle on what do some of these terms mean? Terms like mental equivalence, spiritual truth, the absolute, divine creative process, consciousness, principle, demonstration, the affirmative life, the law, divine right order, subjective mind, divine intelligence, false beliefs, things like that. There's a lot more terms that have very specific science of mind meaning, but those are a few. And just in case that's not enough, I also decided to throw in a couple of terms that aren't really words, but we're going to make them words here. They're not in the dictionary, let's just put it that way. And I'm knowing that eventually they will be because they're great words that speak to our spiritual principles. Last Sunday, we had, I think, the longest talk title ever in the history of sermon titles. And just as a reminder, it was, because I'm going to contrast that with today. Last Sunday, our talk title was Activating the Divine Creative Process Through the Law and Dispelling False Beliefs to Lead an Affirmative Life and Experience Amazing Demonstrations. Woo! Yeah, I'm out of breath just saying that. I wanted to get all of those terms in, and we explored all of those terms last Sunday. If you weren't here or weren't online, you can go online now and listen to the recording or watch the YouTube video of the talk to get what those topics, those words, those phrases mean. They gave us a good foundation for where we're going to go today, which is to the shortest sermon sermon title that has ever been offered, I think. It's only one word, and it's not a word. Well, it is a word, but it's not a word in the dictionary, and it's not a word we use ever because it's not really a word, but it is pronoia. Pronoia. Now, to get to the meaning of pronoia, we might want to look at its antonym or its opposite. What do you think the opposite of pronoia would be? Yes, paranoia. And paranoia, the definition of that is a false belief that the world is out to get you, to harm you, to hurt you. A false belief that the world is out to get you. That's paranoia. So pronoia is the opposite of that. It is a true belief that the universe is conspiring in your favor. the universe is conspiring in your favor, and that is, in fact, a truth. So it is a true belief that the universe is conspiring in your favor, and my intention, my invitation for us this morning is that we all become a little more proanoid. Got it? Got it. So to put this new word into science of mind lingo, we might say that it is a belief that you have at the core of your being that the divine intelligence, meaning God, that's just another term for God, is at all times on the ready and in fact devising ways to bring about divine right order in your life. Divine right order simply means that everything is unfolding perfectly and exactly as it should for your expansion, for your greater joy, for your happiness, for your wholeness. That there is an essence, an energy, an intelligence that is sitting there going, oh, how can this experience for Jeannie or for Ellie or for Tony be even better and yummier? That's pronoia. So do you like the idea of becoming proanoid? Yeah? Good. Ernest Holmes writes in that first little 4 chapters, page 46, we are surrounded by an infinite possibility. And I want to, before I continue on with that quote, say something. I have read the Science of Mind textbook. That's that big book I've showed you this morning, front and back, many times. And it was not until I pulled that quote to share today that I got something. It says we are surrounded by an infinite intelligence. It doesn't say we're surrounded by infinite intelligence. We are surrounded by an infinite intelligence, which says that is a thing. That is, and is one thing. We are surrounded by one thing. Infinite intelligence and infinite possibility. Actually, that's what it says, infinite possibility. I wanted to call it intelligence, but it's possibility. We are surrounded by an infinite possibility. So that's a thing. We're going to talk about that more in just a second. All right, we're surrounded by an infinite possibility. It is goodness, it is life, it is law, and it is reason. In expressing itself through us, it becomes more fully conscious of its own self. Therefore, it wishes to express through us. As it passes into our being, it automatically becomes the law of our lives. It can pass into expression through us only as we consciously allow it to do so. Therefore, we should have faith in it and in its desire and in its ability to do for us all that we shall ever need to have done. And that last sentence is a definition of being proanoid. The definition now of being proanoid is to have a faith in an infinite possibility and in its desires and in its ability to do for us that which we have need. There it is. So I want us to become absolutely and completely proanoid. So when I had the idea to use this word today, it was because a friend of mine back in November sent me a little email that had this saying in a cute graphic. It probably came from Facebook. He sent it out and he said something like, this says it all. And it was a pretty graphic that said proanoid, the belief that the universe is conspiring for your good. And I thought at the time, that is a beautiful talk title. That's a beautiful topic. And it'll fit perfectly in January. So I tucked it away for today. And didn't really know exactly what we were going to talk about it, but I had a basic idea in my head. And then last week, here is an example right here, a little mini example of the universe conspiring for our good, all of our goods, not just mine, but all of ours. Last Sunday, I announced, as I always do, what's coming up next week. So I announced today, and I said we're going to talk about the word pronoia. After service, Wendy Watley, member sitting right back there, comes up to me and says, "Do you know there's a book by that name?" I said, I had no idea there's a book by that name. So it's not a brand new word. Darn, I thought it was a brand new word, but it isn't. But I did look it up in the dictionary, and it is not there. So it is not yet in the dictionary. So there is a book written by Rob Bresney that is called Pronoia, the Antidote for Paranoia. So how do you like that? So thank you. First of all, thank you, Wendy, for bringing that book to my attention. That's probably his quote that came. It wasn't attributed to anybody, but it probably was his. And I am so grateful for Amazon Prime because I got online right away and ordered the book to see what it had to offer and got it in time for preparation for today. And I want to read from you something I've adapted. I've changed it a bit. You change your lyrics. I'm changing his little writing here. It's somewhat of a poem. So this is another definition of pronoia, and actually an invitation to us. He writes, Rob Bresney, the author of this book, writes, "Let us release the cult of doom and gloom and embrace the cause of zoom and boom. Let us laugh at the foolishness of evil and hate as we summon the brilliance to praise and create. No matter how upside down it all may appear, let us have no fear, because we know this big secret. All of creation is conspiring to shower us with blessings. Life is crazily in love with us, brazenly and innocently in love with us. The universe always gives us exactly what we need, exactly when we need it." Isn't that great? That's a sweet way to describe pronoia out of that book. Something else from the book, he says, and this is pages and pages. He writes, the book is like that. It's a big book, it's that big, and 300 pages or so. But he writes pages and pages of the thousands of ways and articulates the thousands of ways. I will not do that this morning because we'd be here a little while. But the thousands of ways we are blessed every single day with things we don't even think about. And just as an example, the beginning is that when we open our eyes in the morning, that right there, that biomechanical process that causes us to come out of an unconscious state and become aware and to breathe and to see, what a miracle that is. There is something conspiring for our good to have that happen. There's also this personal star that we have called the sun that is there, as he writes, just for us, just to shine its love down on us. This is how he puts it. The incredible gift of our ability to see, because of the light, is made possible by an unimaginably immense globe of fire, we call it the sun, which continually detonates nuclear reactions in order to convert its own body into light and heat and energy for our personal use. You can't live without the sun's inexhaustible flood of unconditional love. I never thought about the sun unconditionally loving me. I love that idea. Every move you make depends on it. Luckily, it never fails you. Did you know that your personal star is located in the universe at the precise distance from you to be of consummate service to you? Were it any closer, we would fry. Were it any farther away, we would freeze. Is this a happy accident, he writes, or is it a sign of favor, a big, broad hint from a divine intelligence that adores you? I love that. I love that. And I've also heard that little statement that says, if God had a refrigerator, your picture would be on it, right? And so our founder, Ernest Holmes, says we must learn to trust the universe. And when we learn this, we shall be happy and prosperous and well. We must learn to come under the divine government and accept the fact that nature's table is ever filled. Never was there a cosmic famine. And this is in quotes. The finite alone has wrought and suffered. The infinite lies stretched in smiling repose. So a little side note here, that's in quotes, which means Ernest is quoting someone else. He doesn't say who he's quoting, as he often doesn't do. Ernest, you should have given attribution, but there you go, we'll forgive you. So who do you think that's from? The finite alone has wrought and suffered. The infinite lies stretched in smiling repose. What New Thought author does that sound like? Come on, you know. Yeah, I love it. Emerson? Could it be Emerson? It would be, in fact, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Yes, that's who said that. Ernest Holmes grabbed it. So he continues on and says, God is always God. No matter what our emotional storm or what our objective, meaning out there, our situation may be, there is always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but there is always that internal voice forever whispering in our ear. That thing which causes the eternal quest. That thing which forever sings and sings. This is the thing itself. This is the infinite possibility. This is the divine intelligence. This is the absolute. But I'm not going to really use that word much today because that's for next week, so I'm saving that word for next week. Last week, I described several sections of our science of mind symbol. And I said, the rest of it I'll describe later. Well, today, now, this moment is the later. Last week, I described that V, which we call the divine creative process. And I briefly talked about the first service. I don't think I did it in here. The first section up there. But I specifically talked about the second, which is the law and automatic process, and the third section, which is demonstration. Didn't really talk about the first section or the circle. I want to do that right now, because that is what the infinite possibility is. That is what divine intelligence is. That is the love of the divine. That is what is conspiring for our good. So first of all, the circle. I didn't describe that last Sunday either. So Science of Mind students, this will be new to you. Foundation students, this will be new, or not new to you. This will be review. If you're new to this community or new to religious science, this may be a new concept. But the circle stands for, symbolizes the infinity of God, the never-ending eternal nature, never beginning, never-ending eternal nature of God. So it's a circle which has no ending and has no beginning. And then the circle has within it 3 sections. We call that, as I said last Sunday, the triune nature of God. God has 3 aspects or dimensions. The first one, we give the name Spirit. And it is what I just said. It is where the divine intelligence resides. It is where God's thought resides. It is where God's love resides. And this is how I like to look at it. Think about that 2-dimensional symbol pulled off the wall, and you're going to have to use your imagination here. That's a divine quality, one of your mental faculties is imagination. So you're ready to use it? All right, good. So you're going to take that flat symbol, 2-dimensional symbol, off the wall. We're going to bring it here, and right now it's standing like this. We're going to flip it so it's like this. So it's now 3-dimensional. So this is the circle, right? The biggest part, the top part of the circle, is spirit, is divine intelligence, is the part that is conspiring for your good. Under that is the second level, smaller within, is the law. And then under that, even smaller, is manifestation. And then that divine creative process just goes right down. Did you see that in your mind? Well, 2 of you did. That's good. All right. Darn, I wish I had a visual up here. Huh? Well, yes, but I flipped it over. Right. Yeah, flipped it over. Yeah, so just think about that symbol flipped over. It's round like this. The top part of the round is spirit, is infinite intelligence. That's what's conspiring for your good. And then, so that encompasses, my point for this that I want you to get is that it encompasses everything. That aspect of God encompasses everything. And then within that, there's the law. That's the second rung. It's a circle within that circle. And then there's the demonstration or manifestation. That's the circle inside the circle. Someday I'm going to get a visual of that. That is what we are dealing with. That's the infinite possibility. That is what is always wanting the highest and best for you, even when you don't see it. And that's the key. We can say that's true. Yes, I understand that. Of course, when everything's going great. It's when things aren't going great, quote unquote, in our lives, when things are not manifesting the way we'd hoped, when a healing didn't happen like we thought it would, that we think, wait a minute, what's going on? Well, this stuff doesn't work, or it doesn't work for me, or God plays favorites and I'm not favored. Those are all the things I hear, we think. The fact is, the truth is, and the Pronoid view is that it's always working for your good. Always. Even when you can't see it. I love this Note from the Universe by Mike Dooley. They come in our emails regularly. I know many of you get them. I save them for the perfect time to use in a sermon. So this is a note from the universe, a note from God. What if every unexpected delay, every postponement or redirect only meant that at the very last second, right before the scheduled manifestation, I, meaning the universe, had an even better idea? It happens all the time. Love the universe. Happens all the time. And I love this statement from Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity. He said, "Do not be surprised and disappointed if everything does not work out according to your ideas. The all-seeing mind," another description for that all-encompassing spirit, "the all-seeing mind should not be judged by the dim and short vision of the mortal. What may at first seem to you like a failure may prove to be a clearing away of rubbish that will open the way in mind to a larger life." I want to give you a personal example of this. So back in about August or September, I did something at the gym, actually, and I hurt this arm. And ever since then, it hurts, and I can't use it as fully as I would like to use this arm. And so finally, in about November, so I decided, spirits tell me go to the doctor, because doctors are, part of God, and we absolutely have a belief that God works through, and the divine healing can absolutely work through. Divine healings can be miraculous. They absolutely can, and instantaneous, and they can sometimes go through a process through the medical community. And so I decided to go to the doctor and have a look at the shoulder. And we did an X-ray, and we did an MRI, and so I found an orthopedic surgeon. I didn't have one, so I found one through references, and his view was, after reading the X-ray and the MRI, I have a bone spur that's caused a tear in my rotator cuff tendon, and to clear that up, I need surgery. Okay, well, if that's what I need to do, that's what I need to do. So I schedule surgery for December 9th. And as December 9th gets closer, I start to think, this is not good timing. This is the holidays. I don't want to have surgery right before the holidays and have my arm in a sling and for Christmas Eve. I mean, all these things are going through my head. I don't want to do that. I'm going to put it off. I'm not in pain. I just can't use it as well as I would like. And I can't exercise, which I don't like. But that's the reason I want to get it back to good shape. So I thought, I'm going to put this off until January. So I make that decision. Called the doctor and told him I was going to do that. At the same time, here is universe conspiring for my good. Here's piece one, not the only piece, but piece one. At the same time, I am looking for new insurance because my insurance changes, etc., and I needed to find new insurance after the first of the year. My beloved insurance agent, who takes such good care of me, said when we found a great new policy that, well, it's a great new policy, and I have a little news. The surgeon that you're planning to go to for your shoulder is not in the new network. You need to find, if you want to have the insurance cover this, a new network. Okay, I'll find a new, I'll find a new doctor. I never knew God worked through insurance to conspire for our good. But she does. So I have to do that every now and then. I have to do it now and then. So I find the referral, get another referral, and find another doctor and go see this doctor in mid-December. Maybe I get the appointment. And he reads my MRI and he reads my X-ray and he says, well, yeah, I see a little wear and tear in there. I mean, you are 63 years old. Thank you so much for that. I thought, you are 63 years old and there's some wear and tear. He said, but I would never pick surgery as the first option. Yes. He said, no. I would absolutely do, an injection or two first and therapy. Let's do physical therapy. Thank you. I am happy to do physical therapy. If I have to have surgery, I will. If I don't have to, I am very happy. So here the universe is conspiring for me to go down a different path. I'm so grateful for that, so incredibly. So now I'm in physical therapy, knowing that God has had a hand at orchestrating this. My insurance required me to get a new guy who gave me a new idea. I'm going to physical therapy, and I'm loving it, and it's working, and I see God in my physical therapist, and they give me exercises to do at home. And one of the exercises to do at home is an abduction exercise, which is to take a stick about that long, hold the stick on this end, and push with this hand so that this arm goes up, and that's really good range of motion, and hold it for 5 seconds and come back down 15 times, 2 times a day. My problem is I didn't have a stick. I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I kind of put it off. Well, I can't find a stick. I won't do it. I'm sure I had something in the home that was this, but it didn't come readily at me. Right? The universe is always conspiring for my good. Last Sunday, 2 of our lovely congregants sitting in the back, it's Loretta and Heather. Thank you, Loretta and Heather. Gave me a Christmas present, a little belated Christmas present. I took it home and I opened it, and I wondered, what the heck is that? Because it's an interesting shape. And I laughed my head off when I opened it because it's a stick. And it's a stick exactly the size that I need to do my exercises every day. Now, you're sitting there going, why in the world did Loretta and Heather give you a stick? That's really odd that they would give you a stick. They did not give me a stick. They gave me a beautiful inspirational plaque that every day when I do my exercises, I get to read "Blessed Beyond Belief." So this will absolutely find a permanent home in my home or church office after I'm done using it for my therapy and my shoulder exercises. But thank you, Loretta and Heather, for being a way that God inspired for my good to have exactly what I needed to do those. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this is not happening just for me, my friends. It's happening for all of us, all the time. And all we need to do is open our consciousness to be aware of it. We must be aware of it. Holmes says we must instill in our minds the fundamental proposition that good is without bounds. Our only good and loving kindness shall follow me all the days of my life. And he quotes that, and that is from Scripture. So we must instill in our minds and be open and available to see how the universe is conspiring for our good. And the more we're open and available to see it, the more we experience. Because as we are open and available to see it, the more it floods in. That's how it works. The more receptive we are, the more it floods in. So I want us to end our time together this morning by making ourselves a little more open to receiving. I look at people are standing up already because they know. We're going to do a couple of statements, and we can get in our power stance if we want to, which means to stand like this. Research says this is the most powerful physical position you can stand in or be in, most receptive position. You don't have to do this standing if you don't want to. You can sit. All I ask is you don't whack anybody in the face. That's all we ask. So here's the first one I want you to say. I'll say it all at once, and then you'll say it after me. It's not too long. I think you can remember it because it's pretty much what we've been doing today. The universe is conspiring for my good always and in all ways. Ready? The universe is conspiring for my good always and in all ways. That was warm up. Now let's do it for real. Here we go. The universe is conspiring for my good always and in all ways. Here's the second one. God's good is without bounds. God's good is without bounds. Again, God's good is without bounds. Here's the last one. It's a little bit long, but I know you can get it. Only good and loving kindness precede and follow me all the days of my life. Let me say it again because it's a little long. Only good and loving kindness precede and follow me all the days of my life. Ready? Only good and loving kindness precede and follow me all the days of my life. Now that you've got it, here we go. Only good and loving kindness precede and follow me all the days of my life. The universe is conspiring for my good always and in all ways. Congratulations, you have all become proanoid. And so let us pray. In this energized place, in this state of openness and receptivity, in this place of joy, we know that God lives and moves and has its being. That divine intelligence, infinite possibilities, joy, love, creation live here. This is the spiritual truth, and it is my spiritual truth and the spiritual truth of every single person in this room. And that spiritual truth does not change. We came into this expression with that truth, and when we leave this physical expression, that truth will still be the truth. We are immersed in, surrounded by, and filled with infinite possibilities, divine intelligence, love, peace, and power. Because this is the all-encompassing Spirit of God. So I know for each one of us here this morning that as we expand into our greater knowingness of this, and that we choose to be pronoid, that God's blessings pour infinitely upon us. As we open our mind to be more aware of the thousands of ways every day that the universe is already aspiring and conspiring for our good. Already happening. Then we open the floodgates for more, for greater good, for dreams made manifest, for physical healings to occur, for financial challenges to evaporate, for love relationships to be healed or created. These are the things which we are blessed by as we open our minds and have an attitude of pronoia. So for this I'm grateful. I call it good. And I know that as I release these words, it is done. And so I do release these words into the infinite law that has now said yes. And I trust that it is so. Together, let us say, and so it is. Amen.